Morning and welcome to Gardening 365 60. And as I'm sure you're all aware, sort of mid-July, we've had a lot of hot weather. In fact, I've had temperatures of 60 degrees in the greenhouse, and these have required a lot of water. Now my idea for water collection is we've got a large 30-foot greenhouse, all coming one side into that pipe and down into our water collector. And I've used an IBC. I've just mounted it up, but really it hasn't rained enough and we've had to put tap water in there, which is something I don't like doing, but in times of need you have to do things that you're not always happy doing, but it sort of served our greenhouse well. So I've been watering these almost every single day, and then in between that occasional feeds once, twice a week. They've seemed to have done well. These are my really early tomatoes. I planted these in February and now they're at full capacity, ripening. I don't know how much longer they've got, but they've done really well and served us really well. After we had them, and these then was our follow-on tomatoes, and we've got some just starting to ripen now. These are Gardener's Delight, which are a smaller tomato, and over here we've got some real big boys. These are Elsa Craig. You can see they crop really heavy as well. Also in the greenhouse we've got lots of chilies. Chilies don't require as much water, so I give these a slightly different watering regime to the tomatoes. And these are a mild chili. When I say mild, I mean they're not as hot as my really hot chilies. They've certainly got a kick. And these are some that I got a spicy kit from our Facebook, Taste Smiths, if ever you've heard of them. And it was chicken tikka, and it came with a fresh chili, and I took the seeds out the fresh chili, dried them, and these are the results. So I can't tell you what they are, but they're a really nice tasting chili, and they've done much better than the other chilies I've grown. Ironic, isn't it? And these chilies that are appear to be growing upside down, I'm sure they'll flop over at some point. These are known as Carolina Reaper chilies, and obviously by the name, these are incredibly hot. And this one here is a bit behind the others. It has got some chilies on there at the bottom, as you can see. That's Scotch Bonnet, and as you all know, they are mega hot as well. Now over here, these are peppers, conventional peppers. Last year we grew these and they didn't ripen. They didn't grow anywhere near as well as this, so we're hoping they will ripen, but the problem is it's growing in a jungle and we need to sort that out a little bit. So these are tomatillos, and they just take over your greenhouse. Apparently they grow tomato-y type things, Mexican, in a little parcel. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. And also, if you look closely, we've got something called cucumber melons. And these are a bit of a cross between a cucumber and a melon. And some people apparently love them, and some people think they are awful. And I haven't tasted one yet, so I'm not going to comment. But apparently if you freeze them and put them in a gin, they make absolutely fantastic ice cubes that you can eat. Watch this space. And what a fantastic looking butterfly. And just before I start some of my other jobs, I'm just going to give these all a really good watering. It's not as hot today, but they still need that hydration. And that's a beautiful sound. Shut up! Ducks. Okay, now about 6-8 weeks ago, I took on an idea that was partly inspired by Monty Don and partly by my dad, and that was growing courgettes and French beans in the compost heap. I think you can possibly see the results of this now. Now the problem is they do dry out really quickly, so when I can, I try and put a can of water on them. We've grown more courgettes and French beans than we've ever grown from such a small area. So really pleased with this, great success. I just give them a good water. This is about maybe 1.5 metres square. I'll give them a full can full of water. But those have been great all season so far. And also what's grown well in the compost heap is my potatoes that I put in. They're looking really good. Now you can see they've got flowers on them. And I've heard recently on the recent Gardener's World, Monty John said that when they got flowers, they're sort of ready. Now if you look at these, look at those in the distance, they've been put in far, far earlier than these. And I'm thinking, and wow, got to be. The reason for this is because these are maybe in better soil maybe, and they're flowering early. So these are certainly not ready yet. And I still always go back to, these should be ready 10 to 12 weeks after they've been planted. And that is absolutely spot on every single time. There are lots of other things like the flowers and the dieback, but the 10-12 weeks is king. I'm just going along to do some more watering, and wow, I've got a cauliflower that's ready. Whoopee! And that could be our Sunday tea tonight. Lovely. And you've heard me say before about weeds. Is that a weed or is that a beautiful poppy? Well, that's a self-set poppy, and to me that's no weed, that is beautiful. And it just goes to show what a wonderful thing gardening is. A couple of weeks ago you saw me planting beet and I thought they'd all died off, and that's what's come back, and I don't think a single one has missed. Delicious pickled beetroot all the year round. The wonders of gardening. And that is definitely a weed. It's something growing where I don't want it to grow, so I'll be pulling those out. Don't like those sort of weeds. Here's an opportunity. My shallots are looking ready, so I'm going to lift them up and dry them. So when you lift these, you need to put your fork underneath, just gently lift them up, and try and leave the roots on them if you can. It helps them dry better. Now you need to get your fork underneath, just lift gently. That's looking good. That's looking good. And try and keep the roots on them as much as you can. Make sure you get every single one. And then they can go in for drying. Now obviously you don't want to see me lift all of these up, so cue the music. That's a good one. Absolute whopper. I've cleared all the shallots out now, but what we have here now, we have an opportunity. Because when there's a space, there's an opportunity. And I'm going to take that opportunity now and fill that little tiny area with some purple sprouting. Now they won't be ready till about May next year, so they are a really big investment of time. But for that 1 month when they're ready, it's just absolutely gorgeous. One of the most beautiful vegetables to eat ever, purple sprouting. We love it. Now here is the said purple sprouting. I've got a few of these, but I'm going to put 6 in at the moment. Now I've grown them in pots, and the reason why I've grown them in pots, because you can sow them direct, just lack of space, and it's only now where I've got space in the garden that I can put them in. So I'm going to put these in now. Now I've prepared a nice hole. Well, it ain't nice, it's just a hole. Take the plant, put your fingers in between the purple sprouting so you're not going to damage it. And if you look, you can see roots at the bottom, which is good. Give it a good thud. Look at the roots. It's definitely ready to come out of there. You can just massage it a little bit to let those roots come out. Place it in the hole. Make sure it's fairly firm in there. Fill it in. Press down to make sure it's solid. And straight after planting these, we're going to give them a really, really good watering. Well, not a really good one, just a watering as usual. Okay, so I'm going to put the other 5 in now. Now there's a purple sprouting in, and as you can see they're very close to the onions either side. Now in reality they're far, far too close to the onions, but the onions will be coming out in a couple of weeks, and then the purple sprouting can have that space to themselves. Hence why I've planted them closer to the onions and the big gap in between. I had a few shallots growing here as well, so again there's a space and I'm going to fill that space up. Whenever there's a space, there's an opportunity, and I'm going to take this opportunity very shortly. Now I bet you're wondering what opportunity, and it's this. Now this is a weed. Well, it's not, it's a tomato, but by definition of weed, it is a weed because it grew without me intentionally growing it. It grew in some compost in the greenhouse. Now I've got a few of these and I'm going to plant them out. Now the taste of outdoor tomatoes is just off the scale. So if you imagine you've got your supermarket grown tomatoes, I'll give them 1 out of 3 for taste. You've got greenhouse grown tomatoes in this country by yourselves, which are far, far better. I'll give them 2 out of 3. And homegrown tomatoes outside, they get 3 out of 3. They have just got amazing taste. They are gorgeous. How am I going to plant these? Exactly the same, basically, as I planted the purple sprouts. I'm just going to dig a hole, put them in the ground, and finish them off with some water. And there we go. 3 tomatoes, which were weeds, which we've now used constructively in our garden. So they need some water, so that's going to be my next little job. And water the purple sprouting, of course. I'm just about to change the mixture over in the wormery. If you really are interested in it, what you need to do is subscribe, because this was covered in Gardening 365/58, and if you subscribe you'll never miss an upload and you won't miss anything. So am I going to show this today? You need to look at the old videos or subscribe, or both. Back in the greenhouse now, and we've now got a drying rack, which is great. These on the top are some of our garlic. And I say some, we've got our main crop still to come. These are the garlics that we thought had died. So considering we thought they died, they're done pretty well. There's a winter flowering amaryllis drying off, ready to plant for the next season and hopefully ready for Christmas. These are shallots. So those will need probably a week, 2 weeks drying, and then they're ready for pickling. And we've got another shelf of them as well. And if you go down lower, got some empty shelves and some more amaryllis, which again are for Christmas planting. So hopefully within a couple of weeks time these will be ready and they'll be replaced by our onions. And I think the onions will take this complete rack up. That's how many onions we've got this year, which is perfect. Probably last us a couple of weeks. In the greenhouse now, and the reason why is I'm going to plant some of these tomatoes. And now these are really late ones. Now what they actually are is what we call Booker tomatoes. And the reason why they're called Bookers, we bought some tomatoes from Bookers. They were lovely. I cut a couple of slices up, put them in some compost, and this is what grew. If you look at this one, see even more little ones growing in there. They're growing everywhere, tomatoes. So I'm going to put a few of these in. Now then, what I would expect at the very end of the season, they possibly won't ripen because there won't be enough sunlight. So then what we'll do is pick them, take them indoors, and we'll have fresh tomatoes ready right up till Christmas and beyond. Wouldn't that be perfect? Last year we made Boxing Day, I think, was the last of our tomatoes. This year I want some into 2022, that's my target. So not only will we have the first tomatoes hopefully of the year, we'll have the last tomatoes of the year. And that's why I say Gardening 365, gardening all the year round, that's what it's all about. At least 6 months of tomatoes being ready to eat fresh. Perfect. This is how I'm going to plant them. Now I took an executive decision, being the director of Gardening 365, to put all tomatoes in there. And the reason why I took that decision was I found another place to put the cucumbers. Yeah, cucumbers, I'm putting them in now. And the reason why, we grew them late and it's only now the space for them to be put in. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with the cucumbers very shortly. This is the area that I decided to put the cucumbers in. Looks a bit rough at the moment, so I'm just going to turn it over. I'm going to put a new bit of soil, compost and some horse muck in there, which will be perfect for the cucumbers. Now that looks a little bit better now I've turned it over, but I need to give it a real turbo kick for the cucumbers. So I've got half a bucket of worm compost that I'm going to put on there and just mix it in very lightly. That'll be pretty powerful for them. I think that will really give this used soil some brand new life. And I'm going to plant the cucumbers direct into the ground. I'm not going to use pots for this because I think that'll be the best way suited for them. And that's turbocharged soil. And these really should have been in a long time ago, but I've held them back for whatever reason, mostly being no space. But now's their chance to really go and make a mark. And again, if you look at the roots, it is reasonably pot banged. I'm going to take it in very carefully, place it in, cover it up, and wrap it round a stick a bit, as much as I can, and hope for the best. And sometimes that's all you can do, is hope for the best. And I'll do that with the other two that I've got. That's it, they're all in now. Give them some water and they're pretty much done. Morning. And it's Monday. And I know what you're probably thinking. I don't film on a Monday. So why am I doing it today? Because it's factory fortnight. So we've got lots more filming to show you. And the first job is our good friend Nathan, the tree surgeon, has dropped 2 trees for us. Now the reason why I can't go into, because it's classified and not even the know what we're doing. Right, but watch your space and you will find out at some point. But my mission is to cut all this wood up and make sure 100% of this wood is used here at Cherry Tree. That's my mission. Nothing goes to waste at this house. Before you start, make sure you've got safety equipment. So I've got chainsaws, trousers there. I've got a safety helmet with visor and earmuffs. And I've got proper chainsawing gloves. And my other equipment as well. But very important to have that personal protective equipment with you. And wearing, of course. Gardening Nigel, chainsaw Nigel. All the gear and no idea. Lunchtime now, and I've got the small sticks up to make kindling for the log burner. I've got loads of small brash, which you'll see what I'm going to be doing with that very shortly. And I've made quite a dent in that, considering I've only been on it 2 or 3 hours. But I am taking my time over it because I want to protect this wood as much as I can and use it for as many purposes as I can. And what can it be used for? After a year or two, that'll break down and it'll make absolutely great compost for the garden. Nothing goes to waste. Oh, what a wet old morning. And that's a real shame, because I was hoping to get all the brash cut up and burnt, but I'm definitely not doing that today. It's far too wet, and that's such a shame. But I have got another week off next week, which I'm looking forward to. But unfortunately, that concludes this episode of Gardening 365 60. Join us next time for Gardening 365 61. Keep inviting your friends to Facebook. Please subscribe to YouTube. And hopefully enjoy the sun when it finally comes back. Bye.